It's time for
DodgerHeads. What's up, everybody? Welcome into DodgerHeads Live, presented by DodgerBlue.com, part of the Medium Large Sports Network. My name is Jeff Spiegel, joined tonight by Anthony Witrado. We may have a special appearance from Matthew Moreno later on in the show. And here's the good news, folks. 2 wins in a row. Anthony, I can't remember the last time we got to hop on here and be optimistic about this team. So 2 wins in a row, and if not for a Giants walk-off, they may have been in first place in the division.
Yeah, I know. The worst possible kind of walk-off, too, to give them a win, if you haven't seen that. But yeah, it's positive vibes up at Chavez Ravine right now. It's feels like it's been a while, like you said. So nice to be here on a Sunday night talking about a series win and mostly positive news.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to get right into it, I guess, because we've got a massive super chat here from Randy. Randy, we appreciate you. We're going to talk Glasnow. We're going to talk the game, by the way. We're going to talk buy, sell, and hold on some guys that are having extreme hot streaks or cold streaks. And then we'll talk some guys just having a good little run themselves before getting to some key injury updates. We're going to talk about the game and then Tyler Glasnow, but Randy's ready for it. Dave said after the game he did not know if she would be placed on the IR. Let me help you out. Yes, he will be. Whenever you come out of a game for mud and cramps and now you're hurt, 5 games over or under wins. Anthony, I am not at all surprised that this is the news that we get, the response that we get from fans regarding Tyler Glasnow, because you and I were on here when he left the game with cramps, and people are frustrated about that. If you missed it, Glasnow left today's start after just 1 inning. He appeared to tweak his shoulder during warmups. He could kind of be seen awkwardly moving it around. The report came out that it was, quote, right shoulder discomfort. After the game, Glasnow kind of linked it to some mechanical changes that were designed to prevent injuries. He says putting more stress on other parts of his body, reiterated how frustrated he is. He said, quote, obsessed with trying to figure out what's going on, been happening for a few years. Not a lack of trying, just getting exhausted. I feel bad for my teammates. I feel bad for people watching. In 5 starts this season, he's looked great twice. He had a meltdown in the rain. He left the start with cramps, and now he lasts 1 inning, Anthony.
Yeah, the reaction here, I feel like he brought this upon himself a little bit. It's not this injury, right? In a vacuum, it's the meltdown in the rain and not handling that like a veteran should. Asking them to fix the mound or, whatever he could have done instead of just completely imploding in that outing. And then the cramp stuff, which, okay, but then you feel okay. All right, it was just cramps. Gets an IV yesterday, so this doesn't happen today, and he lasts 1 inning with a different injury that takes him out. So those first 2 things stacked onto what happened today is what that's where the frustration is building from, and I totally get it. This is frustrating. I'm sure it's frustrating for him too, but to watch it happen, it just feels like it's inevitable at this point with him.
I'm with you. I sent a text to some friends and basically said, I think the moment that actually is the worst for Glasnow was that start in Philadelphia, because there's a lot of guys who are just injury prone, and whether or not that makes them soft, I think you can debate. Like, some guys can't help that their bodies just break down easier or whatever. But what doesn't help him from an optics perspective, from a public perception perspective, is when you get totally in your head about some rain in Philadelphia and absolutely lose your mind, lose command of yourself, lose command of the baseball, and have to leave. And then you leave with cramps, which, again, you and I got on here and said, it sounds really bad, but if you've ever had cramps, they're awful. There's no timeouts in baseball. There's not really a way to work through those, right? So even if you're willing to give him the pass on the cramps and then he tweaks his shoulder, whatever, It's that Philadelphia game, Anthony, I keep coming back to because that's the one that just looks the worst.
And it was the worst because the injuries you can't control, whether, whether a guy's been durable his entire career, whether he's been injury prone his entire career, that's stuff that you really can't help. And the cramps thing, okay, whatever. But it's that Philly start that really started to put the bad taste in everyone's mouth.
Yeah.
And when something like that happens and it's a big series in Philadelphia against a good team, it's early in the season, but still, you look forward to those kinds of things. And that's what he gives you, and the way it happened and the way it snowballed on him and you couldn't control it after that. I'm with you. I think that was the jumping off point, and then it's just the okay, cramps, and then this thing, like, well, here we are again with this guy.
Yeah.
I had this shoulder thing been the only thing that he dealt with this year, we'd be looking at this a lot more optimistically, I think.
Yeah.
And even if it's an IL situation, which it's going to be, but we would be looking at it in a much more, hopeful light. And right now, I think it's just a lot of frustration with him, and the fans going, "What do we do with this guy?" Like, every time we start to believe again, it's just like it's something new.
Yeah, and I would tweak what you're saying. I don't think I would look at this more optimistically, but I think I could give him more benefit of the doubt for
Sure,
it.
that's fair. Yeah.
Because the way this guy's injury history has stacked up, and this was the talking point when the Dodgers went out and got him. And Glasnow is such a fascinating debate among fans because I remember probably being the most vocally skeptical guy, at least that I knew, about this trade because I was probably higher on Pepio than some people, which mixed returns. He had a 3.6 ERA and a bunch of starts last year. So, good, not great. But when Glasnow is pitching and actually on the mound, he's incredible. And so if you want to be pro Glasnow, every time he pitches and is healthy, you're looking at the people questioning Glasnow trade and saying, are you the stupidest person on the face of the earth? Have you seen this guy pitch? Have you seen how dominant? We've talked. He's arguably the best pitcher in the sport when he's actually physically healthy and on the mound. But then all of a sudden he leaves the game in the second inning, and all the people in the Glasnow's injury prone, what a terrible trade, are looking at the other folks and say, are you the stupidest people in the world? This guy has never made, thrown more than, I think last year was the first time he ever went over 100 innings in his career. And even then, he wasn't available come postseason time. Right. And so it's just a fascinating debate because when he's there, he's amazing. And when he's not, well, that's a lot of the time.
Yeah. And I think, unfortunately, it feels like, we're only in year 2 and we're barely into year 2 of this deal, but it feels like this contract might be a perpetual what if and what could have been with him, because you're right. When he's right, and not even like, I'm not even saying like when he's bringing his A+ stuff, because a lot of guys, when they have A+ stuff, can be called one of the best pitchers in the game. I'm just saying when he's basically healthy, he's one of the best pitchers in the league. Yeah. And he's proven that. It's just that it feels like a fly lands on him and it tilts his world on its axis and it goes wrong, right? Like a little bit of rain, the cramps, this new thing. Like it feels like it's always something with him.
Yeah. Yeah. The contract, by the way, 2 more seasons after this one at about $32.5 million a year. 2028 is a club option. So, I suppose if you're looking for a silver lining, it's 2 years after this one. But yeah, you look at his career numbers. So 120, excuse me. So he had thrown, these are his career seasons. He threw 23 innings as a rookie, 62 innings, 111 innings, 60 innings, 57 innings, 88 innings, 6 innings, 120 innings. Then he gets traded to the Dodgers, 134 innings last year and 17. So honestly, last year, as Dodgers fans, we got the most healthy version of Tyler Glasnow ever. The problem was he wasn't available when they actually needed it. Voodie with another super chat. Too rainy, too humid. Glasnow incapable of acting like an adult. Leader of the Thieves Guild, the ways he is robbing the Dodgers. Jonathan says, what did we expect? 66.2 innings pitched per year, 2019 through 2023. There's going to be a little bit of revisionist history on this trade. Again, I'm not trying to make assumptions about where everybody stood when this trade was officially made. And I would add that, again, as a guy who likes Ryan Pepio, more team control, all that kind of stuff, he was basically Landon Knack last season with a little bit more innings. So would you be missing Landon Knack right now? The way people in my Twitter replies think Landon Knack sucks when I talk about him as a replacement for Glasnow in the rotation. So when you look back, is it the trade that bothers you, Anthony? Is it the extension that bothers you? Or are you kind of like, hey, I'm okay with them taking the gamble, even if it hasn't paid off so far?
I'm fine with both. I was fine with the trade and I was fine with the extension. The Dodgers operate unlike other organizations. So when you talk about Jeff team control, that matters here.
Yeah.
But it matters far less than it does in other organizations. And when they were trading for, let's raise the ceiling to a place we've never had our ceiling be before. With all of these moves, Blake Snell, everything, Yamamoto, all of these things. And Glasnow was part of that. It hasn't worked out health-wise for him, obviously. So they knew that was the risk.
Which, pause real quick, ironically enough, they got the most healthy season of Tyler Glasnow's career last year. So I'm not disagreeing it hasn't worked out health-wise. Sure. But in many ways, what we got from Glasnow last year was more than anybody should have reasonably expected also.
Sure. Yeah. That's totally fair. So I would be fine with doing both again, because they have way, like, let's say he never pitched another inning for them again as of today.
Yeah.
They have ways to fill that hole.
Yeah.
Maybe maybe the ceiling's not as high, but maybe it raises the floor because somebody's more available or whatever. So I'm totally fine with the trade. I'm fine with the extension. I'm fine. Let's hope he comes back. And because again, like, let's say he gives them 6 more starts this season. And let's say 2 of those are in September and 4 of those are in October.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Everyone would take it. Right. And that's the gamble you make. Right. And I am with you from the perspective of the Dodgers operate in a different world. So for most people, trading for a guy like this and paying him that amount of money, which at the time was actually not below top of the line mark starter money because of when they were extending him, all that kind of stuff. You take the risk because with Tyler Glasnow, if he gives you 120 innings, you're fine with it. The question is, when do I get the 120 innings? If it's last year where you get 134, but they're the first 2/3 of the season and then you don't see him when you actually need him most, then that's a failure of a season. So I think the question that, Randy again chiming in here, he says, should they just shut him down for a few months? Whether or not they should, they might not have a choice, but should that be the play, Anthony? I mean, we had this conversation about Snell the other night. Like with both of these guys, do they just shift to the piece where let's just aim for like an August 1st return gate for both of these guys, slow them down, let them heal, do whatever we need to do so that on August 1st, they have a full month of the season in August to kind of ramp themselves up, get reacclimated. They're ready to go in September. And then we have them from October and beyond. Like, is anything else other than that a mistake with 2 guys who have bulky shoulders?
If that's what the health timeline dictates, then fine. But if he's healthy in like 6 weeks and they're like, well, then I'm not okay with the argument of like, let's just hold him out.
Yeah.
Look, the last thing you need is, let's say that arm has 4 starts in it. I would rather know that at the All-Star break before the trade deadline than I would find that out in the middle of September.
Fair. Yeah. So you're saying bring these guys back because we need to know
when they're ready.
Trade deadline, what we can expect or not expect. And that might be a fool's errand because they might look great heading into the trade deadline and then get hurt. But I think it's a fair point to say the Dodgers are going to have to come up with a plan with or without these guys. Now, to be fair, both of them are going to be under contract here for a couple more seasons, no matter what. And so, the Glasnow stuff, I'm not. It's been fascinating to watch the reaction to this because I would say universally, Anthony, people are. Glasnow described himself as frustrated. I think universally fans are frustrated. I don't think they are frustrated at the same things and in the same way that Glasnow is. I think they are frustrated with Glasnow because fair or not fair, they think he's soft and they think he's injury prone. And as a fan, that's kind of the worst thing that you could possibly be outside of being an atrocious human being, which we've had a couple of those as well. Sure. But as far as a good person on the field, being soft and never being healthy is a fan's worst nightmare.
Yeah, and I think players understand that. And you can, the fans can deem it whatever with whatever adjective they want. Soft is probably going far for me, especially as somebody who's been in the clubhouse and seen what these guys do, even the quote unquote guys who don't work hard. But yeah, I think the frustration, and this isn't me saying it's not, you should not be frustrated. I'm frustrated watching him because I'm,
Yeah.
I'm a Tyler Glasnow fan. I think the guy shoves when he's healthy and when he's able to take the ball. I mean, he's probably one of the toughest guys to stand in the box against when everything is okay with him.
Yeah.
So to have him unavailable again this early in the season it's very frustrating. But if this is a situation where he has to go on the IL for a while and they're saying, okay, you're making good progress, you're ready, we can send you out on rehab assignments and you're back end of May, early June, something like that, then give him the ball. I'm not okay with withholding the ball from a healthy guy, especially one who's that good, because you're worried that like he might just hurt himself again.
Yeah. So the obvious question then is what do the Dodgers do from a rotation perspective, Anthony? Right now, with Glass now presumably headed to the injured list, they did say, by the way, that they're basically going to shut him down for a couple of days. He was unsure if they were going to do scans, all that kind of stuff. Right now, they have Yamamoto, Sasaki, and Dustin May as the only three healthy starting pitchers at the major league level. We know they want to run out a 6-man rotation. Tony Gonsolin is due back this week. That gives them 4. So presumably they've got 2 spots open in the rotation. Landon Knack, I think, is an option as a guy who was bad this year, but has been good historically. Justin Robleski was the first guy who got a chance to pitch at the major league level this year. Obviously, Bobby Miller in the mix as well. And then the other name that I think a lot of people have called for that I would be curious to get your thoughts on is Ben Kasparius, who obviously came in first, gave them 3 2/3. It was his longest outing of the year, and he's been incredible. We're going to talk about him later with stock up and stock down, but presumably they need 2 of those guys until the middle of May when Clayton Kershaw comes back. So how would you handle spots number 5 and 6 after Gonsolin?
I would give the first crack again, or the next crack, to Knack, I think. And a lot of this is based on what he's given you before at the big league level. And then I think in that, I would take this time also to then start to stretch out Kasparius. Because if you are going to need somebody in these spots long term, then I think you create a little bit of a competition there between him and Knack and whoever else may fall into this thing between now and whenever that time does come. But yeah, I think my first choice would be Knack to fill the spot now, stretch out Kasparius, have that play out as it does, and then you kind of go from there.
So I'm going to preface this because people are going to mishear me. Kasparius is the most talented guy of the group that we are mentioning right now, and it's genuinely not close. Sometimes people say it's not close, and that's exaggeration. It's genuinely not close. Here's my 2 questions that I'm asking. Not pushing back, I'm asking. One is, do they need Ben Kasparius in the bullpen? Because in order for him to be in the rotation, they need to take him out of the bullpen, where in days like today, he has saved their ass. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2 is, in order to stretch him out, he threw 54 pitches today, got you 3 2/3. It was his first appearance of more than 3 innings. To genuinely stretch him out, either you need to plan for a couple bullpen games in the next couple of weeks with genuinely the goal of just stretching him out. So it's going to be, hey, Ben, we want you to get us 4 innings next time and then get us 5 innings the time after that. So you're starting with the bullpen or having to send him down, which I assume they don't want to do. So that's the only drawback to me, is needing to plan for some bullpen games in order to stretch him out. 1, and 2, can they afford to lose him out of the bullpen?
Yeah. So I think the answer for me is a little bit twofold. Is they can plan their bullpen games around him.
Okay.
Kind of like you hinted at there, where he's the starter. It's, you go into it looking like a bullpen game, knowing on this day he's only going to give you 80 pitches.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's 4 or 5 innings.
Well, and he's nowhere near 80 pitches. That's part of it. He threw 55 today.
Right. But he got you into a fourth inning.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
totally.
So you kind of go from there. So you go in knowing it's going to be a bullpen game, but you give him the bulk of those innings.
Yeah, totally.
The other part of this is, as it stands now, no, they can't lose him from the bullpen. But then they would need to make some decisions on how to construct that bullpen going forward if he's not going to be available every other day.
Yeah.
I think that might be in going forward, that might be an easier fix than trying to throw a bullpen game every once a week or whatever.
Yeah. And the other piece of this too is, so like, I'm with you. Landon Knack is the most obvious choice. I was surprised how many people think Landon Knack sucks in my mentions today. I mean, he had like a 3.6 ERA last year. I joked it was the same ERA that Luis Castillo and Zach Gallen had last season. So I don't understand the Landon Knack hate, but I think Landon Knack is a shoe-in for one of these two spots. And then if you do go Kasparius in the other and you kind of want to build him up over the next couple of weeks, you could always bring up like a Robleski type and just say, okay, Robleski, the plan is to be a piggyback depending on what we get out of Kasparius, because he's been incredibly efficient. To get 4 innings out of 56 pitches, almost 4 innings is I would say not the norm. I think Sasaki had like 56 pitches in 2 innings yesterday. So maybe you bring up a long guy like Robleski, who is your sort of insurance policy. If Kasparius only gets you 3 innings or only can get you 4, then you've got a guy who can give you 2 or 3 more and go from there. So that's sort of a backup option where you're kind of meeting both plans in the middle.
Yeah, totally. I think that the issue with that, and because I said early in the season, like maybe the Dodgers would be innovative and like early on do that with like Dustin May and Tony Gonsolin when that problem reared its head. And then we said these things tend to work themselves out. They have. They're not going to need to piggyback Dustin May and Tony Gonsolin. But the problem then, and the problem that would exist now if you were to do something like that, is how often is that bullpen arm in Robleski down then?
Yeah. Right. You would almost be having a 7-man rotation because you'd need to be saving 2 of those arms for every 6th day. But you could probably, with the ability to send up and send down, you could just call him up for short spurts. But again, you only get to do that 5 times in a season, which is kind of a new thing. So, neither here nor there, but something to keep an eye on. Because I mean, you look at guys they have in the minor league system, but who are already on the 40-man roster. Noah Davis, who everyone's familiar with. Landon Knack, Bobby Miller. Nobody wants to see Bobby Miller. Matt Sauer, Robleski, who we've mentioned. The other guy is Nick Frasso, who 2 years ago was the top pitching prospect. The problem is 3 starts, 3 relief appearances down in AAA, 17 innings, and he's got an ERA over 5. So as much as I'd love to say Nick Frasso, when you have more walks than strikeouts at AAA, I don't think that's an opportunity. So we'll see how the Dodgers handle it. We'll get all sorts of new information, I'm sure, in the next couple of weeks. But a lot to sort out for Dave Roberts, Andrew Friedman, and the Dodgers. We got the super chat from Fritz. Sorry for the delay on this one. He said, in the spirit of Jeff's quote unquote iced tea, parentheses, whiskey optimism, Noah Davis pitched 2 clean innings, striking out 2. Pages went 3 for 4, then 4 for 5. Give me some more. Hold the Pages thought. We're going to come back to this. Jonathan with the super chat, going back to the conversation. He said, revisionist, I had the Danny Duffy comp on Trevor Glasnow from day one. So there you go. I mean, to be fair, Glasnow actually pitched, so he has that over Danny Duffy.
Yeah.
But going back to Fritz, Noah Davis, thank you for your service. Still part of the organization, but I didn't even notice that he had gotten sent down yesterday. I sent out a tweet and someone was like, hey, that guy's not even at the majors anymore. I'm like, apologies. I didn't have the Noah Davis notification alerts on my phone when I was out.
You need that Noah Davis RSS feed.
Yeah, I need to update, I think. But let's do this. We're going to do a segment called Buy, Sell, or Hold. And we'll start it with Pages. So the premise is very, very simple. We're going to talk about 3 guys here. 2 guys who have played really well over the last week or 2, and then 1 guy who's struggled mightily. And so in Andy Pages, the stock is trending up right now. And so the question is, are you buying what we've seen from Andy Pages lately? Do you believe in it? Are you selling it? Meaning, I think this is a fluke. It's a mirage. Not buying into this at all. Sell all my Pages stock. Or are you holding and saying, I need more information here? On Pages, 10 for 12 over the 3-game set against the Padres, 13 for 20 over the past week. Over that stretch, 3 home runs, 3 doubles. Dave Roberts credits says this is more of a mental thing that has happened. When he was asked, is it more physical or mental? He said mental 1,000% for Pages. So he's on a heater right now. Are you buying? Are you selling? Are you holding with Pages?
I'm buying. And I think for me is that the sample with him has been long enough now that like I can start to trust it a bit more. Not to say that it's like been a large sample size or anything, but this is essentially since, remember he had that really bad defensive series and he was bad offensively for a while, but he had that some misplays in Washington and they sat him for a game. And Dave said, this is a mental break. We don't want him to sort of have a day without the pressure, yada, yada. Since then, he's 19 for 49. So that's a 388 average, 5 homers, 8 extra base hits, 861 OPS. And he's played better defense. The highlights are there with the catches against the wall and all that stuff. Still had some misplays, but they haven't been as damaging, especially when you consider one that he's hitting and he's making some good plays here and there.
Yeah.
So I understand like the first reaction might be to hold on him. We want to see more.
Yeah.
And he's going to come back. He's going to normalize. He's going to come back down to earth from what he's doing now. And that's to be expected probably sometime soon. But if he can now be out of his head and give you just a slightly above average offensive player and just like a do not cost me games in center field, that's what we've been asking for him basically since the season started.
Yeah.
And we were talking a few weeks ago about how like no one is just going and taking this position and saying it's mine now. Him getting the longest runway of anybody who was available. He's starting to do that now.
Yeah. You look at the slash line for Andy Pages. He's now hitting 277 on the season with a 355 on base percentage and a 506 slugging percentage. Ohtani is the only player that was in the lineup today who has a higher on-base percentage than Andy Pages so far this season. It's higher than Freddie Freeman. Will Smith wasn't in there. His would be higher. His 506 slugging percentage trails only Teoscar Hernández, Shohei Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, and Tommy Edman in that category. So if we're talking the bat for Andy Pages, which is what we are talking about, nobody is buying that this is sustainable. Okay?
Sure.
Like nobody is buying that he's going to hit, 900 for the next couple of weeks. But I have stressed before, and sometimes I think this stuff does matter. When he was coming up as a prospect, the bat was the carrying tool. Like people believed in the bat. And so he's only 24 years old. Sometimes maybe we forget that he's 24 years old. He also is coming off of, he's only 2 years removed from like a massive shoulder surgery that nobody was really even expecting him to come on like he did in 2024, because they assumed all of 2024 was going to be a lost year as he built back up from his shoulder injury. And yet he makes it up to the major league level ahead of schedule. So I've been skeptical of Pages in the past, but it has always centered on the defense and the base running.
Yeah.
The question was never, was he going to be a good enough, like a decent bat? But what we've seen lately is potentially Andy or Anthony, there's more in there than just a decent bat. Like maybe this is a guy who could be a 120 weighted runs created plus guy instead of just like a 105.
Yeah, I'm with you. I have thought that about him before. Like that has always sort of been I think this is where this guy can live for a while. And for right now, we just wanted to see, like, give me something. Yeah. Give me something to keep you around. Give me something that isn't going to make everyone pull their hair out and say, like, what, should we consider bringing James Outman up and his offensive liabilities and all, right? And early in the year, that's what Pages was making people do. And so he started to come around now. That's fantastic. And like you mentioned, the shoulder surgery, we've seen guys who have had surgery like that, and it takes them 2 seasons to get things right. We saw it with Cody Bellinger. And so, that could definitely be a part of it. But I think you're right. Like we got spoiled with the flashes that we saw last year. And there was good chunks of last year that he was not very good offensively.
Totally.
So with him, like I said, I'm willing to buy on this one because even if he comes down, even a fair amount, like not just a little bit, he's then won the job for me.
Yeah. And I maintain, like I see people in the chat saying, "Hey Jeff, we have the Outman receipts." I maintain that Pages belongs in a corner, and we're gonna get to Michael Conforto here in a second and how quickly he belongs in a corner. I think there's people of varying opinions, but if you hit like this, and given the options of Outman and of Haesung Kim and some of these guys that are headed in different directions down at the minor league level, then I think you can quiet all of the noise. Because if you're a 110 to 120 weighted runs created plus guy, we're going to be able to stomach the defense and the base running. Like, we're just going to get over it. We just can't get over it when it's like a 90 to 100 weighted runs created plus. So that I think will be the issue. I do laugh. What is it with Outman and Pages? Like, they both suck at the same time. And as soon as Pages starts to figure it out, then Outman figures it out. Because I joked, I think he was on a 9-game hit streak. It breaks yesterday. And then today he goes 2 for 5 with the home run and a run and an RBI. So it's like, man, if Outman had done this earlier, who knows whether or not we would have been having a different conversation. But I think it goes back to the last point on Pages. Kudos to the Dodgers, Anthony, because they just never have as quick of a trigger as people want them to. And all of the people that were ready to ship this guy off to who knows where, this is why the Dodgers are patient. This is why the Dodgers say, we talked on our last show, 150 plate appearances. Yeah. Like, this is why the Dodgers do this, because it worked with Gavin Lux last year, and it seems to be working again with Andy Pages.
Yeah, and it's not just the Dodgers. It's kind of an organizational thing where, like, okay, if we have to lay out a time frame for these guys to show us what they are, especially the prove it guys, like, it's around there. It's around there. And so I don't think the Dodgers, this might have been a topic on our shows and in the chat and on social media and all that stuff, but it wasn't, I don't think, ever really yet a real conversation in the front office about, like, when do we send him down? It was that he's going to get this amount of time to show that he belongs here. If he can do that in that time, then he'll stick. And if not, then we'll consider other options.
Real quick, I see Tokata says, Jeff, check the defensive stat. He's the second best defensive Dodger, 40th in MLB. If you watch his show, nobody loves StatCast and nerd stats more than me. I will tell you, defensive stats are an absolute train wreck and a mess and a disaster. And it is the one area of baseball that I think you need to check all the nerd stats with the eye test a little bit. And if you watch the Dodgers play and believe that he is the second best defensive Dodger, I don't know what to tell you. He's not. I guess it's the best that I can do. I don't think he's good. I don't even think he's average. I think he's below average out there. Has he made a couple nice plays? Yes. Has he made some absolutely inexplicable plays? Yes. So
it seems too, like, I will say this though, because you're right. I agree with everything you just said on the defensive stuff and about Pages as a defender. It seems like, though, as the bat has gotten better, he's gotten more confident in the outfield too. Still the misplays and stuff like that, but it almost seems like he's got a little bit more of a sort of a take charge, like, yes, I am the center fielder here attitude. And that in itself is going to make you a little bit of a better defender. So kudos to him for look, you never want to see a guy take one side of the game and have it affect the other side. And it's much easier said than done, especially for a guy who's trying to earn his roster spot. Yeah. But if he has now sort of decided, you know what, I can do this and I can play this position. Maybe in his mind, he thinks, well, maybe in our mind, we just need him to be okay. He's starting to do that. He is starting to do that part of it.
Well, and it's fair to believe that probably has been working the other way against him all season, as he makes a defensive miscue out there and then he's pressing at the plate because he's like, oh crap, I got to go make up for it. But we know it. Everybody knows this. If one part in your life is going well, like, think about the first time you found out the girl that had a crush on you has a crush on, she's got a crush back. It's like nothing can go wrong in the world. You walk into every store you got with the chest puffed out. You're like, nothing can touch me. Things are flying high. I mean, that's what Pages is at. His bat is the beautiful girl that now loves him back, Anthony. And it's spilling over into every single area of his life. So I don't know if that analogy fully works, but we're just going to roll with it. Let's move on. Buy, sell, or hold. We're going to take a sharp left turn here because there's positive vibes only on Dodger Heads tonight, but we do have to have a conversation about my guy, Michael Conforto. Buy, sell, or hold. Obviously, this is a guy who's been terrible lately. So when I say buy, sell, or hold, I am saying like given where his stock is. So he is 3 for 30 over his last 10 appearances with no extra base hits and 9 strikeouts. If you want to go back further to April 3rd, 7 for his last 61 with 22 strikeouts and 1 extra base hit over that stretch. He has hits in just 6 of his last 19 appearances. Dave Roberts was asked, he sees a lot of indecision, too careful, not enough conviction from Michael Conforto at the plate. So what I am asking you, Anthony, is as awful as Michael Conforto has been lately, are you ready to buy the penny stock that is Michael Conforto and say it's going to get better? Or are you selling and saying, I think they bought a lemon and this one isn't going to work out. Thank goodness it's a 1-year deal.
My instinct is we're not out of April yet. So my instinct is to hold with him. It would essentially be to hold with most guys. I do think there is some potential there to catch some lightning in a bottle with the Dodgers pro development staff and maybe what they can do with his swing. We talked about it last time. I thought getting him out of San Francisco could help him, yada, yada. We're not seeing it yet. The number that goes back toward the start of April is disturbing.
Yeah.
But still, I think probably a little early to cut bait, considering that I don't think there's yet a really clear option in like how you treat left field center. Like, let's say the answer is you're going to move Pages over, and well, then you got to figure out center field again.
Yeah.
So like I don't think there's a clear answer there yet. So I'm willing to hold on him and see if he can snap out of this. Also, like if you sell, fine, but you're basically DFAing him.
Yeah. And I mean, I imagine sell would be you're just putting him on the bench. To your point, everybody that hates James Outman, like so you want James Outman then playing more often. Here's what I would say. We just had the Andy Pages conversation like a minute ago. Like we just had the conversation about the guy that everybody would have sold and lit all their stock on. They might not have even sold. They might have just lit the paper the stock was printed on fire with Andy Pages. Conforto is at least the guy that we have seen do it at a high level at the major league level. In fact, we saw him do it last year.
He was good last year. Yeah,
he was good. And so highly concerning. I think Dave's point about a lot of indecision is totally fair. We just talked about the confidence. He comes to a new team, signs a big contract, and is struggling as mightily as he is. That's all concerning. But I'm just not ready to, like, I'm not predicting the turnaround is coming tomorrow. I have seen no signs of that coming. I just believe I'll play the long game here. I'm going to hold on to my Michael Conforto stock. I know my takes from the preseason sound really, really awful today, and they're going to sound worse when we talk about Teoscar Hernández in a minute. But it's not, I just don't think it's as disastrous as it has been. I think there's a little bit of bad luck mixed in. I think eventually he's going to figure it out. He's going to be a productive player. He's going to have big hits for the Dodgers. As ugly as it looks right now is where I stand.
Yeah, I'm sort of in the same boat you are with all of this with him right now. Still too early. He's got a track record as late as as soon as last year, where he was good in a pitcher's ballpark. I think he can be still fine. Just too early. If we were a month from now, maybe we have this conversation and the outcome is different. But I think right now it's a hold for me, and let's keep running him out there and let's see if he can figure it out.
The good news, by the way, is he is walking. So he does have an on-base percentage of .320 this year. So give me at least that, right? Like if you're not going to hit, at least draw the walks. He's 91st percentile in walk rate. So he does have that going. Okay, shorter conversation here. Luis Garcia, Anthony, this was a guy everybody was just ready to DFA as quickly as they possibly could. 6 straight scoreless appearances for Garcia, 5 1/3, 2 hits, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts over that stretch. Are we ready to buy Luis Garcia as a guy who might be here longer than expected, or is this a flash in the pan and he might not be at the top of the DFA list, but he's still on the list?
Yeah. I am saying it's a hold for now, okay. I guess, because I think they kind of need him around.
Yeah,
so
fair. But let me ask you this: take team need off the table.
Sure.
Like, Are you buying a guy that this is a guy that, again, I'm not saying he's going to be closing games for the Dodgers, but again, and I don't want to say Anthony Bonda because Bonda has become very good, but Anthony Bonda was a guy they picked up off of waivers who I guarantee they were not expecting to have around for months and months and months, let alone years.
Yeah, that's fair.
Do you think Luis Garcia is, again, not the next Bonda, not the next Evan Phillips, but, like a Phil Bickford type who just stuck around, had a productive year for the Dodgers longer than expected, even if it didn't last forever?
Yeah. I'm fine with that. And, for me, it's a situation where do I expect him to keep that up? Not necessarily. But I do have confidence in what this organization has been able to do with sort of, uh, the kind of the garbage heap sort of pickups that they've made in the past. And so I'm not like, I don't think he's a ticking time bomb or anything like that. But I'm just saying, let's hold, because if I'm going to buy a guy, it's a guy that I expect to be there for us through September.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he's that guy. Also, there's going to be guys coming back.
Totally. I am selling Luis Garcia, with apologies to him and his family. The nerd stats are not favorable to Luis Garcia. He is 38 years old. The only red that you see on his page are his fastball velocity, which is 95.7 miles an hour. He has a 61.1% ground ball rate, which is incredible. 93rd percentile. He is first percentile, basically worst in the league at average exit velocity.
Yeah.
The expected ERA, expected batting average, bottom 20% of Major League Baseball. The walk rate is 7th percentile. The hard hit rate is 1st percentile. Everything is below average. I know the numbers have been good lately. He's got a whip of 1.5. So I'm out on Luis Garcia. I think he fills a need. I'm not saying they need to cut him tomorrow because he's better than some of these guys they have at the back end. But I think this is just a nice run, and it's a fairy tale where the carriage is going to turn into a pumpkin pretty soon for Luis Garcia.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. And like I said, I think a big part of the hold for me is that there's a need right now. Like he fills a spot. But if we're doing much more than that, I would. Yeah, I mean, I'm holding for now for the sake of this game, but I'd be leaning more towards sell. And you know what? Even if he's pitching fairly decently, when that number comes up, I don't think the Dodgers hesitate to get rid of him.
Yep, exactly. All right, let's do a quick stock up and stock down some guys that have been having. I think all these guys on this list, 4 out of 5 at least, have been good. Teoscar Hernández, 6-game hitting streak, 9 for his last 25, 8 RBIs, 3 homers, 3 doubles over that stretch. He has been good when the team has needed him of late, Anthony. He got off to a really slow start, and yet he seems to have picked it up over the last week.
Yeah. Look, I think for him, the slow start for me was just like, okay, yeah, like we're getting into it. It just feels like he's been, I think, a lot better than his numbers, this early show, because he's had a bunch of timely hits.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that stands out. So,
I think that's a great point. Even when the numbers overall haven't been there, it feels like he goes 1 for 4, but it's like an RBI double when they need it, right?
Right. Exactly. And I think too, like, again, the sample is only about a month old, but you look at something like weighted runs created or OPS plus, and he's hovering right around where he was last year for the Dodgers. So,
yeah.
I think the version of Teo that we're seeing right now will cool down, but I think eventually, like when it's all said and done, we get the guy that we thought we were getting when we signed him.
Andy Pages and Teoscar Hernández, almost identical OPSs, by the way. So there's a fun fact for you.
Yeah.
Mookie Betts.
Funny what a couple of hot weeks can do.
Seriously. Mookie Betts, since April 15th, 8 for his last 39 with just 2 doubles and a homer. Did go 1 for 4 with a run and an RBI today. He's hitting .232 on the season, a .333 on base, and a .389 slugging percentage. That slugging percentage is, outside of Rojas and Barnes, basically the worst slugging percentage on the team. Weirdly, when he was like 140 pounds, he had seemed to have more power than as the season has gone on. So what have you seen with Mookie?
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of chase in his at-bats recently during this stretch, like a lot. Like maybe there's always been a little element of chase, but like I'm talking like he's swinging at pitches that end up in the other batter's box.
Yeah.
And I don't think we have a stat yet that accounts for that. That, how bad are you, like, in terms of, are you swinging at 6 inches off the plate or 6 feet?
Yeah.
So it just feels like he's trying to get out of this slump with one swing all the time.
Yeah.
And he's a veteran, and we've seen him slump before. I don't have any panic in my mind about him. I think he'll figure his way out of it. You mentioned the OBP was in the 330s or whatever. What I'm looking at was, coming into today, it was still 340. So that's hey, get on base twice tomorrow, and at least in that way, you're looking still like a productive player. Maybe just not as much lately. So, but yeah, he's down right now, but I'm not worried about him.
Interesting with Mookie. So the chase rate is up 23% this year. It was 21% last year, 16.5% before that. Ironically enough, still 76th percentile for Major League Baseball. So relative to what we're used to, it's bad. But compared to major leagues, he's still very much above average in that category. Shohei Ohtani, last time we were chatting, people were panicked about Shohei. He's 5 for 9 in his last 2 games, 3 doubles and a triple. Safe to say we're back on Shohei Ohtani. All the panic was for naught out there, Anthony. Not that you and I panicked.
Yeah, if you were panicking about Shohei Ohtani, that fandom
it is amazing.
We need to check it.
It is amazing how quickly he can turn this around, because he looked genuinely really bad for a couple of days and then goes
about it this last
almost
week
for a cycle.
Yeah, you're totally right. We talked about it this last week about how bad he looked. But we said, like, this guy is always one day away from being right out of it.
Yeah.
And so hopefully that day was last night. But I mean, it's funny because, like, for this rough stretch he's had, he still has a OPS plus in the 150s. Like, which is, that's still elite level type of stuff. Like, so I think that, he maybe just needed to see some balls hit the grass or something like that. And the balls he hit yesterday, I thought were on pitches that he had to, like, they weren't just served up for him. He had to sort of go put the barrel on him, and he was able to do that. That was a positive sign as much as it was that they fell for hits.
Yeah, totally. And this is a reminder about how baseball works, right? When you hit 300, it doesn't mean you're going 1 for 3 every single day all season. It means you're going to go 0 for 4 3 days in a row, and then you're going to go 2 for 3 3 days in a row, and it all evens out. So it's just the way that it works. And again, Ohtani 5 for 9 with 4 extra base hits in the last 2. Last 2, I'll just rapid fire. Evan Phillips, I've been impressed with how he's looked since coming back. 2 2/3, no runs, 2 hits, a walk, 4 strikeouts since coming back. And then Ben Casparius, who we talked about, over his last 3 outings, which it's worth pointing out, he has come in precarious situations. He wasn't expecting to go 3 2/3 today, for example, but 8 innings, 3 hits, no runs, no walks, 10 strikeouts over his last 3 appearances. So kudos to them. By the way, one other stat we didn't really get to talk about from today, Anthony, offensively, the Dodgers 14 hits and 5 walks. So they've got that going. But how about the bullpen? 8 innings, 12 strikeouts, no walks from the bullpen coming in off of after Tyler Glasnow. 12 strikeouts, no walks from that group. So, the bullpen dogs getting the job done on a day like today. Let's get to some injury updates. So we've got some time for questions. We've got some big ones, some names you might be familiar with. Clayton Kershaw, who I know, we talked about last week. You're ready to send him off, put him off to pasture, send him into retirement. He's not your guy anymore. It's Yamamoto Day, not Kershaw Day in the Witrado household. We know this story, but expected to throw again Tuesday. The goal is, Dave said, to get to 5 innings and 75 pitches. Then he'll come back 5 days later, a week from today. He is not eligible to return. I messed this up earlier. He can't actually come back towards May 17th, but basically the way that they're stretching him out, he's almost a week away from being at full strength and the type of strength that would be needed. So it seems like Kershaw is targeting that May 17th earliest return date as pretty feasible at this point.
Yeah, I would agree. And that's good. I mean, we've said this before, or I've said it before. I wasn't expecting him back until like July-ish, so that would be great. And I thought when he gave the update that said that his arm feels great and it was the toe that was holding him back before. Yeah. Like that surprised me, that, and it just felt like maybe maybe the organization, under promised and over delivered in terms of like his timeline. But yeah, I mean, the second he's ready, let's bring him on.
Yeah. Blake Snell, second on this list. He's been shut down for a second time, as everybody knows. He had an MRI again, a second MRI on Thursday. It revealed nothing new. Dave Roberts said he's due to receive an injection to, quote, calm it down, and then we'll figure out when we pick back up the throwing program. Dave used phrases like no damage, big relief, and dodge the bullet. Are you buying any of that on the Blake Snell update?
Oh my gosh, hell no. Every significant injury that we've gotten so far this season, Snell, Glasnow, who's another one that I'm thinking of here recently. Anyway, it's always sort of the same MO of dodge the bullet, best case scenario coming out of this now. Don't expect him to miss a lot of time. Is the IL a possibility? Oh, we'll see.
Yeah.
And then the guy's out 4 weeks before, there's any real news again. And so like it just feels like best case scenario and dodge the bullet are the ones we better get ready to hear. We're gonna have to make t-shirts or something because it's almost like to a T what we're being told with all of these injuries. So
well, I have good news for you, Anthony, because the foremost expert on interpreting Dave Roberts' health updates has actually just joined the chat and is ready to hop in. It's none other than Matthew Moreno, who's here to tell us what no damage, big relief, and dodge the bullet means on Blake Snell.
Yeah, well, first, that's a lot of pressure you're putting on me, Jeff. So I haven't been on here with you guys recently. So I feel like the bar has been set very high, and I need to give the people all the answers and the quote unquote truth.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of catching up. You guys were discussing Snell. Is that the focus right now?
Yeah, Anthony said hell no to if he's buying any of Dave's positive updates with Blake Snell.
I agree. And what I thought was interesting in all seriousness, kind of, trying to read in between the lines with what Dave said. The Snell going for a second MRI, Dave Roberts said there were his exact quote was that there were no new findings.
Yeah, I did find that interesting.
What I am alleging at this point is they haven't fully disclosed what the original findings were. Now, I'm not sure what that means entirely because they was expressed to us, which I'd have to go back and double check. I think Snell as well said the same thing. Like the MRI, there was not structural damage. So I like that fine. Like I think we can rule that out. Like I don't know if they would completely be misleading or get that totally wrong. Now, is it possible that the first MRI, maybe a second MRI didn't necessarily show something? Like that wouldn't be the first time where we've, have heard that, whether it's the Dodgers or some other team. But I agree with what Anthony was saying. Like it doesn't make sense that Blake Snell has had 2 MRIs. The inflammation / discomfort, whatever you want to call it, has not gone away. He threw 1 bullpen session. Said it didn't feel great. Like he told, I think Bill Plunkett had maybe the most extensive quotes from him during the road trip of Blake Snell saying, yes, I'm still dealing with some discomfort in my shoulder, but I think he might be 32. He said, I'm 32 now. And it's kind of just when I wake up, but once I start throwing and playing catch, then it goes away. Like, well, clearly it didn't, right? Because then he was still playing catch and about to throw another bullpen session. And now here we are. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm with you. Like, I don't know what's fully going on, obviously, but I am definitely more suspicious than optimistic.
Well, I did actually figure it out as we were all talking now. When Dave said we dodged a bullet, he forgot to mention that the throwing knife actually struck Blake Snell. So the bullet missed, but the knife was made contact. So he wasn't lying to us when he said he dodged a bullet. But yeah, he doesn't have a shoulder anymore. Okay, 2 more injury updates, then we'll get to some questions. Michael Kopech. 1 more bullpen before facing live competition is the expectation with Kopech. He threw a 30-pitch bullpen, a full mix Thursday. He has another bullpen scheduled for tomorrow and then is expected to face some live hitters. Anthony, this is good news because at one point we were like, oh, they got a lot of relievers, they'll be fine until these guys come back. And then, with all due respect to the gentleman who got the 3-inning save today, I think I'm ready to see some of our regular relievers back, Anthony.
Yes, I am as well. And I think it would do them well, given how much they've actually leaned on that bullpen in the last few weeks or so. Some of these guys can't come back quick enough, I think, because while I do hope that they are used, sparingly in relative terms, I think that you start to run the risk of other injuries when you start to lean on guys this often, this early.
Yeah. Yeah. Matt, I saw somebody asking, would you expect Kopech will eventually go on a rehab assignment down in Oklahoma City, just like Evan Phillips did?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know the affiliate. I assume OKC, if they want to keep him local, then they could do the Quakes. They could do some mixture, but rehab assignment definitely is in the cards for him. It's, as you mentioned, another bullpen session. Then he'll face live hitters probably once or twice. Well, definitely once, maybe a second time. And then at that point, he potentially would begin a rehab assignment.
Last one here, Blake Trinan. No updates was what we have on Blake Trinan. Dave Roberts was asked essentially for an update. Quote, I don't know. He's not playing catch. I don't know when he's going to resume. It's sort of a slow program. So, Matt, here's the good news. We don't need an interpreter here. Dave's not even blowing smoke on Trinan. We got nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I think in all seriousness, like this is an injury I think to be concerned about. And not that you were, Jeff. I'm not like attacking you. Like no. Like yes, Dave quotes are funny and stuff like that. But I think the reason he's saying that is because there's a 15% chance that maybe Trinan doesn't pitch again this season. Like I don't know. The initial injury happened. They said he would get an MRI once they got home. The quote you gave was Dave being asked, did he get that second MRI? Like what's going on? And then there's no news that they at least want. There's I'll let our viewers decide. Yeah. There's either no news legitimately, or there is news that they just do not want to share with the general public right now.
Yeah, and when it's a guy of Trinan's age, 36, about to turn 37 in June, who has this type of injury and that type of update, I think, Anthony, there's real reason to be concerned about Trinan. Again, who was an absolutely legendary hero for this team in the postseason.
I'm not tooting any horns here, but I will say he was the guy that when we did I forgot what game it was we were playing, but he was, for me, the guy that I thought was going to sort of not be as good this season. Yeah. And I hinted at, he was hurt last season at the end, which we didn't know about at the time, but we found out later he was hurt. Also, like, wasn't so much for me like the stuff might start to diminish. It was like, it was the wear. And I also thought early in the season, and I said before, he doesn't look, even when he was getting outs, he didn't look quite as sharp, quite as nasty, quite as effective. Or efficient, maybe I should say. And so all of that, and now we find out, he gets hurt, and now we're getting no updates. It's starting to feel a whole lot like we might not see Blake Trinan again this year.
And I wonder, sorry, Jeff, I think honestly what it is, the Dodgers, in my opinion, are looking at this as just come back for the postseason or don't come back at all. And so I think it's going to be sort of that type of scenario where they'll get through the regular season, even though, Jeff, you mentioned, wanting Kopech back to see some regular relievers. The Dodgers are definitely going to need bullpen help when Kasparius gets moved into the starting rotation. I don't know if you guys touched on that earlier in the show. Yeah. I say that sort of tongue in cheek, but I think there's a very decent chance that does happen at some point with the way things are certainly trending. But yeah, I think Trinan's situation is, you either see him in the playoffs, maybe not the NLDS. Maybe they say, hey, we can keep holding off as long as possible, but it's playoffs or nothing.
And I'll say this too. And sorry, Jeff, real quick. I would be totally okay with that. I think because he's a veteran, I would trust him. If he got 2 appearances under his belt at the major league level going into October, and they said, we're going to put this guy in leverage situations, let's do it.
Yeah. I think there was some belief that maybe this was a phantom IL sort of a deal and, hey, let's just give this guy rest. But I think there's genuine concern. But to your points, I put him in the same bucket as Snell and Glasnow. Nobody's expecting 162 games from those 3 dudes. And so can we just get these guys to the finish line or close? Trinan is in that bucket. I think with a guy like Tanner Scott, knock on all the wood if you believe in that type of thing, the expectation and hope is that he should be able to get you through a full season, maybe with a break here or there. I don't think anybody expected Blake Trinan to go out and give you, 75 appearances this season.
They were gunning. They were trying to prove that wrong before he got hurt.
Well, and that's why I think it was like he was due for a break. But I agree that this is more concerning than that. So, all right, let's get to some questions. All caps questions. Throw those in the chat, and we will answer some. Jonathan with the super chat. Love Dodger heads. Thank you, Jonathan. We appreciate you. We appreciate all of you. Almost 1,700 people in here live on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter. Those listening after the fact via podcast, Apple, Spotify, or Google, as well as those watching after the fact on YouTube. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Also,
let's get to some of these questions. What were you going to say?
Real quick, Jeff, before Jonathan, first of all, thank you. I know you're in here all the time, and I'm seeing I haven't been on with you guys in a couple of weeks. It feels like a month maybe. So it's nice to see a lot of still the same regulars hanging out. Jeff, as you said, we appreciate everyone. And I also want to take a second to recognize and acknowledge Jeff and the work that he has done with the backgrounds for our shows. He's updated things as you guys know. We got the new intro, and then Jeff went to work on some of the background stuff. So Jeff, thank you for that. The World Series trophies at the top, our logos. It's all a great touch to tie everything together.
Yeah, if you like it, I will take all the credit in the world. If you hate it, Daniel Starkin is responsible for all of it. So
there we go.
Keep that in mind, okay? All right, we got some good questions. We got some great questions, and I got a food question for some people later. I asked a dessert question, and Anthony and Matt haven't chimed in, so we've got some stuff. Let's start Dodgers Hub. Just when Gonsolin comes back, Glasnow gets hurt. Concern level with Glasnow injury after the last one in Texas. Let's start there. Matt, Anthony, and I have already answered this, so we'll stay out of it. Where are you at on Glasnow?
This is an interesting one for me, and I see we have a lot of questions flooding in, so I don't want to keep everybody here for an extra 30 minutes just listening to me ramble. What I'm curious to see is I feel like with Glasnow in being there today and getting his post-game interview and going through the quotes, stuff like that. And if you haven't had a chance to watch his video, it is up on our YouTube channel, so definitely check it out after the fact. But it sort of seems to me like he is a pitcher, Glasnow is a pitcher that is in search of a perfect feeling on the mound, of always being synced up, of everything always feeling great. And so part of me wonders is, I'm not necessarily saying this injury, but some of his issues in the past, like, is it a matter of he's overthinking things and, you're not always going to feel 100%, right? Like you probably aren't. Like maybe you do the first day of spring training and that might be it. Like after that, workouts and games and all that stuff set in, you're never 100%. So is he searching that? Or like, I think in this specific case, there is the chance, unfortunately, of a legitimate injury. I know what was interesting to me is a lot of us had concern against the start that Dodgers Hub is referencing against the Rangers. He was shaking his elbow and arm the same way he was today. Yeah. And so last week, the alarm bells were going off like, oh, wait a minute. Is it his arm, his elbow, something? Ended up being lower body cramps. And it was like, oh, well, okay, like hydrate next time. Not that big of a deal. But now here he was again doing the same motion. Glasnow then also alluding to the fact that the feeling that he felt in his shoulder today was something that has been on and off for, it seems like, throughout the offseason as he was adjusting things. And so, yeah, I mean, level of concern is not like a scale of 1 to 10. It's probably like at a 6 or 7 right now. Just because on the off chance, maybe it just is like inflammation, right, in his shoulder, and it just needs a little bit of time.
I don't know if Glasnow's level of concern scale goes below 6. I think 6 is the floor. I don't think you're ever allowed to be below 6 with that guy on the mound.
I mean, look, like I did feel bad. Like you can't see, like he has dealt with, unfortunately, a lot of injuries throughout his career, and you can see the frustration of like, he just wants to be healthy, and not to make this about me by any means, but like having, the surgery that I had last year, like physically, I can relate to, oh, wait a minute, like what was that feeling? Is something wrong again? This and that. Like there is a mental hurdle that I think you need to cross. And I think because of how frequent Glasnow has gotten injured, I don't know if he's ever really gotten past that point. Like I think there are times where something comes up and it's not that serious, but because of his history, he thinks it's worse than it actually is. And again, I'm not saying that that's the case now. Hopefully it is. Hopefully this is just relatively minor. But, there's a lot of interesting factors, I think, at play here with this.
And I think the piece he talked about, they're trying to change some things mechanically in his extension and where he puts his foot down and stuff like that. There is something too, when you try new stuff, it's going to stress parts of your body that aren't used to being stressed. So I think all of that is real, but I also think he hasn't earned the benefit of the doubt from the in between the ears part when it comes to all this stuff and being able to quote unquote win the mental battle, if you will. He says, Dodger Sub also says City Connect uniforms are awful. I tweeted it yesterday. Those hats suck. Like, it's just the Disneyland. I don't need the Disneyland D anywhere on a Dodgers jersey. And I know some Disneyland person's going to tell me it's not the official Disneyland D. It freaking looks like the Disneyland D. And get it out of my face. That's what I have to say. Anthony, the hats alone, like the jerseys, whatever. I think the hats suck.
I'm on the opposite of you. Like, I think the jerseys suck and the hats are okay.
All right, Matt?
I'll say this though quickly. As the new iterations for other organizations of the City Connects come out, the Dodgers, I'm not saying I like them. They look less and less atrocious as they did when they first came out, though.
Yeah.
Like
I do agree.
What the Giants came out with this year. Whew.
Well, the Giants were bad. Like, they went from, bad to worse, or worse
Yes.
to bad, if however you look at that. The Nationals is the one that I don't get, because I thought theirs was
They had a
pretty good.
great one. Their City Connect jersey was better than the regular one.
Yeah, and their new one, like, I think was a big step back for them.
It is.
Yeah, Jeff, to answer your question, I'm indifferent to the jersey. Grew on me. I think it's similar to the gold program ones that we talked about at the beginning of the season. Once you saw them like on the field and the players wearing them, they look better. And the hat, like, I don't like it. I don't hate it.
It's like navy blue too. Like, it's not even remotely close to Dodger blue. That's my other thing. So,
well, they're connecting with the city, so that's why they changed the
Matty
color.
Man says Blake is going to lose his mind. Blake's going to lose his mind because there's not a Padres and a Giants logo anywhere on there. He wants more logos on the jersey, I think. So there you go. Okay. Baby steps. Who are the current Dodger players on the roster that are baseball IQ smart? When you think of baseball IQ, Matt, which Dodgers jump to mind?
Freddie Freeman, I think, is probably first and foremost. Clayton, he's not playing right now. Clayton Kershaw, I think, for a pitcher, is a pretty well aware of everything sort of going on. I'm not saying the other guys are dumb. I just don't know if anybody like those two like specifically stand out as like a more than above average type thing. Maybe Tommy Edman. Went to Stanford, so he at least fits the profile in that sense.
Just smart.
Yeah, that might. I mean,
Anthony, anyone jump to mind for you?
Yeah, I think the Dodgers have one of the smarter teams in baseball from this standpoint. I think just going around, like starting on the bench, I think Taylor. I think Kike.
Is that the same Chris Taylor who's hitting over 300, by Is it a different Chris Taylor?
It would look. You don't do that by being dumb. Taylor, Kike Hernandez, Barnes. And then into the regulars, I would say Freeman, Mookie, who else here?
Pages?
He's their smartest base runner. Pages is by far their smartest.
I said stock up. Every time he runs through a Dino Ebel sign, he moves up in my book in the intelligence. Some of the other stuff he falls back down, but I'm just saying it's not all bad with Pages.
Yeah. And you know what? Aside from like some of the stuff we've seen from Baez, like I don't really think they have any like really bad IQ guys the way we've seen that with other teams that we played already this season. I think as a collective though, this is probably one of the higher baseball IQ teams that's around, and I think that goes a long way to help them when things aren't going right.
Yeah, agreed. Jose wants to know, Matt, who figures it out first, Muncy or Conforto? One word answer.
Pass.
No, that's not an acceptable word. Come on, get off the fence.
Muncy.
Anthony?
Max.
Yeah, I'm going Muncy too. Back-to-back wants to know, why is being a Lakers fan so miserable? Got their hopes up, and Anthony put on the Kings hat. I mean, that's how bad it is. He put on the LA Kings hat.
It's bittersweet.
Is it a wrap, Anthony? Is it a wrap? Is it over with?
Oh yes, it's a wrap.
Wow.
In 5, or you think the Lakers force a game 6?
I'm just saying that they're not going to win the series, which is all that matters to me. I don't care how long it goes.
True. Yeah.
Like, put me out of my misery at this point.
It's bittersweet for our followers who are maybe strictly baseball. You'll get to see more of Daniel pretty soon.
Yeah, there you go.
So
I can answer this a little bit back to back. I think why this one in particular is so miserable is because it feels like they're doing it to themselves.
Well, and they teased you. They wanted you to believe that they had a chance with Luka and LeBron and the whole thing. And then what is it? They like got murdered in the fourth quarter and lost by 2 today. So tough stuff.
I mean, I don't want to completely derail the our stream here, but whoever would have guessed that playing the same 5 guys for 24 minutes straight could potentially backfire at some point. Like
JJ, high IQ guy.
Yeah. Hey, there you go. By the way, back to the Trinan. Sorry, I missed a couple super chats. The runner on second, isn't Blake Trinan a holistic medicines guy? And then some sort of emoji. See you in 2026. So there you go. That's a 10 out of 10 super chat there.
That's a good
Fritz doubled up. So thank you, Fritz. Robleski or Miller for the starts after Knack. We've said Kasperius getting stretched out, kind of do bullpen games where, maybe he goes 4 innings and then the next time he goes 5 and you just prepare for a long bullpen game outside of Knack. Is that how you would handle this moving forward, Matt? Because the question I asked was, can they afford to lose Kasperius out of the bullpen? Would they be better off with Robleski just starting games and keeping Kasperius where you need him?
So not Bobby Miller, just starting the games. You specifically want Robleski?
Yes. Okay. To be clear, there's no fence sitting there. Bobby Miller, thank you for your service, buddy.
Just wanted to make sure. Just wanted to make sure. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely an option, at least until they get Kopech back and some of the, other reinforce. I mean, Phillips is back now. I guess it's mainly Kopech that you're waiting on because Gratterall is a longer play guy. He's second half. We just got done discussing Blake Trinan. He's, maybe October in our belief, nothing from the Dodgers yet. I don't necessarily actually, you know what? I think they're going to make do because Kershaw is going to be coming off the injured list and, a little bit after the middle of May. He's already stretching out to 5 innings in his next rehab start. And so Dave Roberts said Tuesday is a bullpen game already. So there's no starter coming up for that. Tony Gonsolin is returning Wednesday from the injured list. So he'll be starting for you now. And I think they still have off days. I think they'll just figure out a way to get to the point of when Kershaw can return, and then he's in the rotation ahead of Robleski, Miller, and Kasperius.
And we haven't gotten a Edgardo Enriquez. I mean, I know he's on the 60-day IL, but he's the only other guy that, he's not officially out for the season, right?
Correct. So the last update we had from Dave was maybe 2-ish weeks ago, and he said he wasn't sure really what Enriquez was up to. If you go back to the beginning of the season when Enriquez, his foot injury, Dave said at the time it was like 4 to 6 weeks. So we are past that timeline. So theoretically, he should be doing something, but he's not, to the best of my knowledge, he's not on a rehab assignment or not with any sort of minor league affiliate right now. So I don't know if there was a delay. I don't know, maybe the Dodgers strategically have, mapped out when he'll start that stuff. But yeah, no concrete update on him just yet.
Sign stealing scandal. Anthony needs a ruling. He said, am I in the clear if I never called for Pages to be traded, but I may have called for him to go back to wearing number 84? Is he in the clear, or does he need to say some apologies here?
No. You're in the clear. That's okay by me.
Anything short of DFA this guy, I think is acceptable.
I will say today we were getting a lot of tweets saying I was critical of Pages. Like, I need to now give him his credit. Like, multiple people were saying that, which was impressive because that usually doesn't happen, right? It's always, people trashing players. And then once they turn it around, like, you don't really hear anything until if they have one bad game, then it's, I knew he wasn't good, blah, blah, blah. So we got a lot of that, which was nice to see.
He's gone from about as cold as you possibly could be to absolutely white hot.
Yeah. He's their best hitter right now.
Yeah.
That's, other than Will Smith.
And
he doesn't play though.
Yeah, we got Austin Barnes gets to keep throwing bounce passes out the second base. So we do get that. He almost, did you see Matt, his throw today almost made it to the dirt in front of second base.
I did see it. Maybe the Lakers needed Austin Barnes to inbound the ball instead of LeBron today. It might have made it.
Yeah. There you go. Matt, Austin Barnes greater than LeBron. Quote it. Anthony, give me the 10-second here on David. Love to be in first place. Don't you think all this battling now will help us in the playoffs? I love the optimism here with David. There's a silver lining to being in second place now as we're grinding through it.
The Paisan is always pretty optimistic. I like it. I will say that, sure. I mean, they're going to be battle tested. The biggest thing is, though, can they be healthy going in?
Yeah.
Like, this stuff, the way that they're playing, it's not going to hurt them. But as long as they're healthy, I don't care if they've been ahead by 12 games right now or whatever the case may be. Also, they haven't played San Diego or San Francisco yet, so let's
couple more
get
months
that going.
Matt, Cole wants to know, what is the percentage chance that the Dodgers are buying starting pitchers at the deadline?
15.
Wow.
Ooh,
I was fully
I think-
expecting that to be a big number.
Whoa.
I think it'll be like a depth. It'll be like a depth thing. Snell, I think, will be back at some point. So if you
Ohtani.
I guess I'm assuming health, which is a dangerous thing, but I think they'll have enough that they'll look for, maybe a depth type thing, or they just won't.
Okay, I like it. I mean, who knows? Maybe a young guy develops. Maybe Jackson Ferris type is more ready. Machine Kelly wants to know the better number 8, Kike Hernandez or Olmedo Sainz. I mean, only one of those two guys was a professional hitter last time I checked. So Sainz does have that going.
Sign stealing scandal. I think I know that answer.
Seriously, we're asking the wrong people. Speaking of sign stealing scandal, he says, "Who's your opening day 2026 starting outfield?" So you got Teo. You got Teo in a corner.
Nice.
Are we throwing Pages in? I'll put Pages in right, Teoscar in left, and then give me.
Does Kyle Tucker play center field?
Gosh, here we go. Here we go. That would melt the internet.
It's
I'll
going to
say
be
Edman in center, and Alex Freeland is playing middle infield with Mookie Betts.
I was going to lean that way as well in terms of the change would be in the infield like that. Yeah. It's going to be hard to move a guy out of center field who this year is going to finish runner up in the Gold Glove race and in the MVP race.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. Okay. Michael wants to know, what will Michael B. Jordan win Best Actor for his work in Sinners? I'm going to be honest. I don't do scary movies. Cool branding for this movie. 0% chance I'll ever see it. Matt, have you seen it?
I have not seen it. I wasn't necessarily interested in it. I am interested now just because I feel like everybody's saying it so great. So I want to see, is it going to kind of live up to the hype? But I mean, I'm not going to go see it. I did buy Mission Impossible tickets today for Thursday night, once a month from now. So I am looking forward to that.
There you go. Didn't even know they were still making those. Anthony,
you last one.
That's what they tell you. They tell you that every time until they make the next one. Anthony, have you seen Sinners?
I was supposed to go last. What was it? I was supposed to go Friday, I think, and then the Lakers lost, and I was too pissed to go, so I did not go. But I will be seeing it.
Okay, there you go. I like Michael B. Jordan, so okay. Here's the most important. Oh wait, well first, hold on, Matt. Do you want to do your food? You told us you had a food update you wanted to share. Do you want to do that after dessert? Is this related to dessert? How do you want to handle this?
No, not related. We could do it after.
Okay, so my question that I asked the other day to Blake Williams was most overrated dessert and most underrated dessert. I said most overrated dessert s'mores because they're not as good as anybody thinks and they're a mess to make. I said underrated. I went with brownies and ice cream, not because anybody thinks brownies and ice cream sucks. I feel like it's just an incredible dessert that doesn't get eaten enough. It was also suggested that bread pudding, which I think is a great answer. I do want to say my wife gave me a great underrated answer as far as I'm concerned and an atrocious overrated answer. She said pie is overrated. She hates pie, which is just terrible. It's a terrible take on her part. But she did say mint chocolate chip underrated, and I think mint chocolate chip is top tier ice cream. So she's got that going for her. So there you go. So Moreno, I don't know if I stole your thunder on overrated, underrated a little bit there, but the floor is yours.
I agree. Brownies are. So are you saying the specific combination of brownies
I'm
and
saying
ice
brownies
cream?
and ice cream together is top tier.
I usually don't eat them together. I'll have
That's what I'm saying. This is why it's
brownie-
underrated
so
because you're not even doing it.
I feel because of that, I can't rate it. I can't say if it's overrated or underrated. So I will reserve judgment on that one. S'mores, you said were overrated.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I could see it, but I don't feel like there are a ton of people who say oh, s'mores are so great or this and that. So I'm not sure how to rate that one either. To be
People
honest.
thought that was crazy for saying that. So
I don't think it necessarily is.
Yeah. So let's hear from you, Matt. Are you going pies overrated? What would you say for you is the most underrated and the most overrated dessert?
Probably pie. I mean, yeah, I don't care for any sort of pie. So when people start saying, pumpkin pie, this and that, like
pumpkin pie is in a whole different category. Pumpkin
don't
pie
care.
should not be called pie.
That's overrated.
Okay.
I guess donut's not really a dessert. Jim,
No, were you going to say donuts underrated?
Yeah.
That's an acceptable answer.
I would
allow
buy that. I would buy that.
I'll do that then.
I asked one girl this question. She told me she hates donuts, which is the craziest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah,
I've never met anybody that hates donuts.
And then you met your wife later.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, Anthony. Oh my gosh, somebody just said Jell-O is underrated. That's crazy.
You don't like Jell-O, or you just think it's rated perfectly?
Both. I think nobody likes Jell-O, and it's rated exactly where it belongs to be rated, is what I would say.
Probably.
Anthony, go for it. The floor is yours.
Oh my goodness.
Were you going to say Jell-O? You a big Jell-O guy down there? It sounds like it.
No, I'm not a big Jell-O guy. It's good for diets, though, apparently. I will say I have one that's just gonna blow up.
I love it. I can already see.
I want to be on here for 30 more minutes.
I can see the anguish in your face debating if you're going to say this or not say this, and I'm proud of you for saying it already.
Say it.
No, it's all yours.
Apple pie is overrated.
No, what? First of all, Matt agrees with you. Second of all, it's the most atrocious take ever. It's the greatest dessert ever. That's crazy. I was expecting something way more inflammatory, but
it was inflammatory for you. I expected that reaction. Yes.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's a terrible opinion by you. But what would you say is the most underrated dessert?
Underrated dessert
besides Jell-O, apparently.
Yeah, and donuts is a good one. I like that one. What is underrated dessert? I'm not a super big sweets guy. It's like when I want one, though, I want one. Like I'm all in on it.
Yeah.
I am a big fan of like different kinds of cheesecake.
Yeah. Okay.
And I feel like they don't ever get like a lot of love. It's like either a regular cheesecake with maybe some cherry syrup on it, and that's about as far as we go in terms of like just the normal stuff. But like when you said
Cheesecake
s'mores,
Factory guy with like the 30 different flavors.
Yeah, man. Like they're like when you said s'mores are overrated, which I'm fine with that take. There's like a s'mores cheesecake that they have that's great, like a Reese's Pieces cheesecake, like that kind of stuff. That's excellent.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm kicking
I
myself.
Had peanut butter cheesecake that was amazing.
I haven't had it, but the s'mores one, I'm kicking myself. I remember bringing that up to you guys. I think I don't know what we were doing. The s'mores cheesecake at Cheesecake Factory is very good.
Yeah. Okay. I was trying to see if we had any good ones. I love David. He says, "How could you stay married to a woman that hates pies?" Here's the good news, David. Guess who gets all the pie in my family? Guess who's not fighting for a damn slice of Dutch apple pie heated up with vanilla ice cream?
That's a fair point.
All me. Or it gets thrown away. One or the other. Bob Nightingale, mint chocolate chip is poop per sources. Look, I don't like mint flavored things other than mint chocolate chip. So I understand this take in general, but not that one.
I also saw somebody asking if that was the real Bob Nightingale. Yes, it is. I mean, we've not been proven otherwise. And so Bob has been in here breaking news with us throughout the offseason and now during the regular season. So yes, that is, we have no reason to believe that it is not Bob Nightingale.
NS says Rice Krispie treats underrated. I'm going to say this, like a good homemade Rice Krispie treat is fantastic. The problem is the store-bought pre-wrapped stuff suck so bad that most people probably hate Rice Krispies. But if you get like homemade marshmallowy Rice Krispies,
my wife always gets the request when we do like potluck type stuff to bring her Rice Krispie treats. Okay. So she's got to make like 3 pans of it, and she'll also do some that are Fruity Pebbles instead of Rice Krispies. Ooh, those are legit.
There you go. Red Velvet overrated. Bob also says I'm not a red. I don't like cake. I mean, I'm out on cake in general, so that would be an overrated one for me. But cupcakes, anything, I'm just out. So yeah. All right, Matt, you have a breakfast announcement to make for us.
Yeah, I've been sitting on this for a few weeks, and then I was watching you and Greg, and he unknowingly stole my thunder.
Okay.
We've talked about breakfast burritos and trying different ones. This and that. Big breakfast burrito fan, but I am here to declare that the best breakfast item is an Eggs Benedict. Now, the catch to it is the hollandaise sauce has to be good. Like that's tricky to get. Like a lot of places mess it up. I've had it where it has too much lemon in it. It's not good. So it's harder to find good eggs Benedict than I think it is to find a good breakfast burrito. But when you do find it, the eggs Benedict have moved to the top of my list, which of course is the definitive food ranking in the world. And so I set the pastrami list a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago now. Now I'm here to with an updated breakfast ranking list.
I love eggs Benedict, so I don't hate this take from you. And I'll pretty much eat any hollandaise sauce. I mean, it's just basically butter we're talking about here. Are we talking like just traditional little Canadian bacon ham situation, or are we getting like one of these fancy ones that's got?
Don't mess with the classic. Don't mess with the class. Just
there's a place up here that does fancy eggs Benedicts, and they're tasty. But
I've seen it, but I don't want to. You know me. If I find the one that I like, then that's what I'm sticking with. Sometimes you can add like actual bacon to it or get bacon on the side, things like that. But other than that, I'm sticking traditional.
Cole mentioned that there might be a thing called an eggs Benedict burrito. I'm intrigued.
Have not heard of it. Yeah, I've tried.
I had a theory once that we should there are so many great foods that are either hard to eat or messy to eat, and if we just put everything into a tortilla, that these things would just get better. Like imagine not having to need a fork and knife and all the gooey stuff if it was just a breakfast burrito. They just threw it all in a tortilla. You get the eggs, the Canadian bacon, the hollandaise sauce. We kind of mess up the English muffin situation. We'd have to figure that piece out. But, you know.
Chop it up and put it in there.
See, now we're talking, Moreno. Now we're talking. So, yeah. I think I said this before, but my idea was to make a food truck, and I was going to call it the Rapture. WRAPTURE. Yeah, I did. And it was originally pasta. Pasta was the original one because I love pasta, but it's just like a pain. You got to like throw it in a bowl and make some mess. It's like, what if you could take just delicious pesto pasta with chicken and just throw it into a burrito? A lot of carbs, you know, maybe Jell-O for dessert to even it out, Anthony, but s'mores burrito. See, look, if you could get a s'more that is not a total disaster, a mess, gooey everywhere. See, we're onto something here.
It's not the craziest thing you've ever said on here, Jeff.
Yeah, that's true. And I'll say this about breakfast burritos. It's my favorite food, but like the best version of a breakfast burrito ever is not better than the best version of a lot of other breakfast items. I just think like on a day-to-day basis, I love breakfast burritos, and a good breakfast burrito is great. But like if you took me somewhere fancy and we're like, they have a late eggs Benedict, like, I don't order breakfast burritos when I go out to breakfast. If it's a sit-down place, I would much rather get pretty much anything else. So, that's what I got.
Do you order breakfast burritos at anywhere besides Mexican places?
Sometimes if I'm going to a coffee shop and I'm hungry and there's basically no other option, I'll do it, but I kind of hate myself for it. The problem is a lot of Mexican restaurants, like I'm thinking of one place in particular, they open for lunch. So some Mexican places up here, they're not actually making breakfast burritos. Gotcha. So they don't open till like 10:30 or 11.
I thought you were going to say the problem is they put cheese in them.
No, breakfast burritos acceptable place to put cheese.
Yeah. Okay. You've updated your list. You're not as turned off to cheese as you
I'll allow you to believe that's an update, but I feel vindicated more and more. Don't care 187 says, I like cheese. Keep up the great work. Still champs.
Still champs.
All of the above. So there you go. Do you have a real quick? We'll end on this. Like, where did you try the eggs Benedict that changed your life, Matt? Anywhere in particular?
No, not anywhere in particular. I've had them at a few different places. And that's the thing. Like, I haven't necessarily gone to like a place that people would say, oh, they're really known for it. It's been like, okay, I had it here and it's pretty good. I had it at this place and it's pretty good. So still like semi-chain, not full-blown like national type things, but
so IHOP. Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Pretty much. IHOP. Yeah. Blake got the chicken parm. I got the eggs Benedict. We both came away happy.
And look, you'd be the winner. I bet IHOP's eggs Benedict is good. They might be pouring that hollandaise straight out of a bag for all I know. And you know what? It might be good if it's coming out of a bag.
I don't know if they have it on the menu. We'd have to check.
Oh, come on. If they're serving chicken parm and not eggs Benedict, that would be crazy.
Well,
Blue Tree says real crab cake, eggs Benedict for the win. So the one I was thinking of is there's a place up here that it was an eggs Benedict. The base was not English. This isn't even going to sound like a Benedict because there's like so many ingredients are different, but it was a cornbread base with pulled pork on it as the meat. the poached egg, and then I want to say the sauce was almost like it was like a hollandaise sauce, but with like a poblano type flavor to it. Fantastic.
Hey, IHOP, I owe you an apology. I was not familiar with
They
your
probably
game,
got like 12
as
different
they say.
versions.
They have 3, and one of them is a spicy poblano eggs Benedict. Another one is the classic, and then they have a bacon avocado, which is probably what I would get. But, I don't know if I'm getting. I might go somewhere else for my eggs Benedict. IHOP is good for pancakes and waffles, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that settles it. And Amanda says you specifically said burritos, no cheese. Breakfast burritos, a whole separate category. We're talking meat burritos, steak burritos, chicken burritos, pork. Greg Bergman agrees with me. So
But you don't get meats in your breakfast burrito?
No, that's a completely, it has the word burrito in it. If somebody says, I'm going to get a burrito, in your mind, you are not like, oh, are you getting the one with eggs, potatoes, and bacon in it? Or are you getting the one with carne asada in it? If somebody says they're going to get a burrito.
Oh, I would absolutely order a breakfast burrito at 10 o'clock at night.
Totally. But I'm just saying if somebody was like, hey, I'm going to go get tacos, are you following up with, are they breakfast tacos or are we
you're moving the goalpost here now. I go to a lot of Mexican places. None of them have breakfast tacos.
It's a Southwest thing. It's like a Texas thing. They're amazing, by the way.
I'll say this. If someone at 2 o'clock in the afternoon said, hey, I'm going to go to this place that has a burrito to go get a burrito. Do you want one? And I said in my head, that place has good breakfast burritos. Yes, bring me a breakfast burrito. Absolutely.
I agree with you that I will eat breakfast burritos all time of day. My
Just
conversation, and I'll clarify, my conversation is if it's not a breakfast burrito, it's a category in which now my cheese opinion has changed on if there should be cheese on this burrito. Of course,
Jeff,
cheese on a breakfast burrito because I like cheese on. Yeah.
You guys have been on for an hour and a half.
Young Jeffrey.
What's that?
You have a very interesting mind.
Hey, you know what? It's what made me the person I am.
Nobody's upset tonight, so let's stop that. I don't want to see Jeff hates cheese again, and then it's gonna all that's gonna be going. So I think
Matt hides behind the moderator account before he starts spouting off the nonsense about my cheese opinions. Him and Blake, just the gift of anonymity that those two have, or whoever's running the account some of those days. So everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Almost 1,900 people in here, a 90-minute show. The Dodgers won 2 games in a row, baby. We are so back. The Dodgers are back, nearly in first place. So they've got that going for them. The Marlins coming to town, always a good thing.
Did you guys touch on the Padres getting swept by the Rays at all?
We don't deal with the lower level teams around here. No, we haven't. We talked about did you see the play that the Giants won on, Matt?
I did not. Real quick, I was only bringing it up just to try to give a lot of our followers some context of look, like the Dodgers were struggling. Things happen. The Padres, the team that everybody was pointing to, saying, look at them winning all these games. They're in first place. They're not in first place anymore. They just got swept.
2-7 in their last 9.
We were told that they were going to play 750 baseball the whole season, and the Dodgers needed to step it up.
Yeah. Well,
if you haven't seen the way the Giants won, I'm not going to do it justice. It was a little league home run with 2 atrocious throws where literally the guys hit an Austin Barnes line drive, aka dribbler to the pitcher, and scored as a walk-off. That's what happened.
I'm going to have to look that up.
Yeah. So there you go. We'll get out of here so you all can. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. Check out DodgerBlue.com. If you're new here, Dodger Blue 1958 on YouTube. Click the subscribe, ring the notification bell. We would greatly appreciate it. Dodger Blue 1958 on social media. If you're a podcast person, Apple, Spotify, Google, go ahead and check that up. Sorry, I just totally podcast person, Apple, Spotify. Yeah. No, we got it. Jeez Louise. We're at the 95-minute mark and I'm losing my brain. DodgerHeads podcast. We appreciate it. That is Matthew Moreno. Great to have you back, Matt. That is Anthony Witrado, who is on with me on Sunday nights, and on Tuesday nights, we will be back on Tuesday night here to talk more Dodgers. So enjoy the rest of your night, everyone. As always, go Dodgers. And yes, still champs.